Good evening, everybody. Matrix here, and here's my watch list for February 18th. Okay, so took me a little time to develop this watch list and plan this evening. I do have 8 tickers I want to talk about. Obviously, 8 tickers is quite a bit. It's very hard for me to whittle it down because it's every single play looks so damn good. But anyways, I'm gonna quickly go through all 8 of them and you guys have to decide on your own which ones you like. So let's make this pretty swift and let's start. First up is ROKU. Now, ROKU, first thing I want to mention on the daily chart is that the volume is not really that significant, although we are in a very bullish uptrend here. All right, ROKU is having earnings on February 21st, I believe, so in a few more days. With the chart closing this strong and this uptrend here, and after hours it got a little pop, I'm watching a dip and a rip for another long day tomorrow. I know the chart on the daily chart is a little bit overextended, but I do think a long is definitely possible, especially right now after hours it popped, right? So I want to note that after hours, it popped over a key psychological whole number of 52, which was also prior resistance from a few days back, right? So if from yesterday, the highs. So I want to see a dip out the gates and 52 to hold to get long. Now, looking at this daily chart here, we have a gap that could be filled a little bit before the earnings arrive. So this is why I like it for the long, right? This chart, the gap fill is around the 55 area, so that's my ultimate target if I get long. So the plan is looking for a dip out the gates to hold either 52 or 5150s. 5150s is very key as well, as you can see here. If I zoom out a little bit, it's basically the 50-cent mark, right? It's the VWAP right here, and it's where it broke out from on Friday after lunch, right? So here's at lunchtime, 12 o'clock area, it broke out, it held some more, and then late day, finally, it breaks out of this 5150, came back and held once again. So 5150 to 5160, very, very strong support here. Okay, so if 52 doesn't hold, you can bet that the 5160s and the 5150s area should be able to hold it up, and from there it either rips again or it's gonna chop a little bit, right? On the 5-minute chart, you see the 5150s is the 200 SMA, and as you can see, when there's massive volume, this stock follows the 200 SMA as well, right? So here at the open, we have massive volume here at the open again, massive volume. So tomorrow, I mean, if it dips out the gates on massive volume, opening volume that is, I mean, look for this 200 SMA to hold the dip and then rip it back up, right? Let me zoom out just a tad, little bit more. Yeah, so I do like that thesis. If it gaps up in the open and gaps up stupid, right? You can actually scalp that dip short. Because of this overnight buying activity, people who bought will be trying to sell into that gap up and that first initial spike. Okay, so that will cause that is a really quick scalp shorting opportunity. Okay, so that's ROKU. Next up, we have Activision, ATVI, another chart that I've been playing for the whole week now. First thing I want to mention on ATVI is the daily volume. As you can see from the 3 days run up after they had earnings on this day here on February 6th, right? And then after it dipped, and then we had a 3 days run up on massive volume. And on Friday, we had a lower volume than it usually did for the past week, but it is still above, I believe it's 1.3 on the relative volume side. So it is still above higher relative volume right now because of this lower volume on this down day. To me, it indicates a pullback instead of like a sell-off. So it's more like a consolidation period that ATVI is going to go into right now. And we have very very clear resistance at the 45, right? So if the stock can reclaim 45 and hold above it, then it's definitely a long for the next leg up. However, I do anticipate a few, maybe one more day of consolidation tomorrow. We have a very, very key support of 44 on the stock, and intraday we have 44.5 as well as a support area. So let's take a look at that real quick. So 44.5 does not hold as much water as the 44 itself, because the 44 is a proven support, right? However, we're sitting right here at the opening candle of this massive volume day, right? Or at the closing price of this massive volume day, right? So tomorrow it might just pop right out of the gates and try to rip and recover the 45 again. Now, I do want to mention real quick the target. I mean, if I'm going to long this, the target is going to be 46 area right here, the psychological whole number. What I want to talk about on ATVI is also the fundamentals, the news catalyst behind it, right? When they had their bad earnings report come out, they talk about cutting their sales force down by 8%, or their workforce down by 8%, and restructuring the company's restructuring their company basically, and aiming at increasing more sales through a more focus in game development and focusing on the games that really worked, and cut off the games that didn't work, right? I believe they're going to focus more of their attention on the Call of Duty series, which has always been working good for them. With that said, investors gain confidence in that restructuring, and basically that's what caused the stock to break out for the past 3 days, right? Now, there are analysts coming out with buy ratings on the stock, or with ratings on the stock, and they're chiming in to the target price area of the low 50s. So anywhere from the 50 to 55s area. I'd say 50 to 52s, right? That's where the institutions are looking at the stock in the long term. So I do think the stock has has the ability to get back up there above the 50 SMA. Okay. Overall, the chart is near the short term. It is looking pretty bullish. It's just having a pullback day, in my opinion. And once the volume kicks back in, once 44 proves itself a few more times, or if it rides this 9 EMA, it will slowly grind back up. So I do like it on the long side. Now, on the short side, though, if 44 snaps and cannot reclaim, that's definitely a short bias, and that will tell me that this stock is done over with and it's going down the toilet for the whole year. Okay, so that's ATVI. We have Canada Goose coming up. Canada Goose had earnings a couple days ago, and then it basically had great earnings, but then it just got sold off. Okay, so obviously the reaction to this was, first of all, I would say that the earnings was kind of priced in. Okay, people bought this dip right here at the end of the year and just ride it up and anticipated this earnings. And then once the earnings came out, they just sold it off. So that's one of the reasons why the stock sold off so much. The other reason is probably got to do with what they said during the earnings report, right? It's obviously looking like the investors are losing confidence in the stock right now. We are sitting at a very key area of the $50 mark, which is also key support. Okay, so we have support here at anywhere from $50 and $49.85. Okay, so a very concise support zone. We have sold off a couple days in a row now, and with the lower volume, it really depends, right? This could be like a consolidation period, in my opinion, and with a stock that sold off, consolidating means they're going to retrace a little bit. All right, so I'm going to look for the support to hold tomorrow. If it snaps through and cannot get back above the 50, then my bias will be short, and there will be a lot of room to target. The next target would be 48, which is another key support level. Right, so if I'm going to be short, I only want to short it if it holds under this support area. Otherwise, my bias is along for tomorrow, okay, if it holds. And my target would be the 52 mark here. Right here at the 52, we see that, first of all, the 200 SMA on the 5-minute chart. Second of all, this downtrend line here for the past couple of days, it meets this 200 SMA as well, and also a very key psychological whole number at 52. So I do believe the stock will, for example, it might cover pop tomorrow at the open right into the 52. I mean, there are a lot of short sellers in the stock. They haven't covered yet, but from the looks of it, I mean, after the stock sold off, usually at the open, here's that cover pop and then gets sold off again. And then here's that cover pop, gets sold off again. So tomorrow I am anticipating a cover pop at the open. Okay, whether it sells off or not, I mean, it cover pops right into the 52, sells off, holds this 51 area. Okay, we have a pretty clear support area here as well, or now currently resistance, but if it gaps up over it tomorrow, it's going to be support, right? So if it cover pops, hits that 52, sells off, and starts holding the 21, starts holding the 51, this could be a buy point, right? For the stock to come back up, maybe do a little rounding action back up into the 53s area and 53 and a half, right? So that's kind of like what I'm looking for. Let's see if I can get some annotation tools out. So maybe a gap up, dip, and then hold, and then pop, and then fail. That's kind of like what I'm looking at tomorrow, all right? Or let's see. Or, I mean, we could gap down and then pop up and then sell off again. But so definitely a few different theses here. Really, really interesting how it works here tomorrow at the open around the 49.85s to the 50s area. It's got to see what it does too. So watch out for that. Next up is Facebook. I'm going to put it on a side watch. I mean, I personally am not too fond of Facebook because of this type of chop action over here, right? Even when it comes down, it doesn't come down really clean, right? We've sold off a lot from on the daily chart here from the 170s, right? And it snapped the 165 finally. And this to me is also very choppy action that is hard to trade. So I'm not too happy about the Facebook trading at the moment, personally for me. But I mean, definitely put this on a side watch. We have a key support area here, or interim support area of 162 here. So I'm going to mark off 162, which is, I believe, the low of this day. Okay, so the low of this green day, zoom in a little bit, the low of this green candle, right? The 14th of Valentine's Day, and then a little bit under it, the 162 whole dollar mark, right? So this is a nice support zone you can look at for the stock to bounce. Okay, this is a key area to watch. If it gaps down under it tomorrow, wait. And I mean, this is chop area, right? It doesn't know what it wants to do yet. If it snaps down and gets back down under it, you can wait and you can short from here on out down to the lows of 160. Okay, that would be the target. If it dips and holds the support area, it's a long, in my opinion, and you can ride it up to around the 163 here, the 200 SMA on the 5-minute chart. Once again, I mean, take a look at this 200 SMA, right? It follows it quite well. We do have a downtrend coming down here. All right, so this downtrend also links to the 163 as well. So 163, pretty key level here. Currently resistance, but if it reclaims and can hold, we could get a long day here. As far as I can tell, I mean, the volume is still pretty low. It's not it's not the type of volume that I enjoy trading. Days that I like to trade are with massive volume, where the stock would trend really nicely instead of all this choppiness. So Facebook is going to be on a side watch for me. Okay. I also want to mention a few more resistance areas where you might want to watch out for. So the 163.5 and 164 as well, right? So every 50 cent, that's how Facebook usually trades anyways, every 50 cent mark. But it's going to be on side watch for me. I might not trade it. Next up, AMD. AMD is more of a sure thing in my opinion. Well, I wouldn't say 100% sure thing, but the last day that I called it, I was looking for a dip to hold the 2330s to 2320s area. Okay, so yesterday, that's literally what it did, right? It literally bounced off. I called the bottom here, and it bounced right off, and it has proven now this is key support, right? Coming up a little bit here, this 2340s is the next key support that needs to prove itself, in my opinion. And looking over here on the daily chart, I mean, if I mark off the 2340s area, come on, there it is. All right, so I'm off by a penny, but I mean, you know what? I'm a perfectionist, so let's do this proper. Okay, so this is the opening price of February 5th, the opening price of February 12th, the highs of Valentine's Day, February 14th. So if it dips out the gates and it holds this 2340s area to 2450s, this to me is the next line of support for the stock. And I do believe it should be able to hold, right? Because we have proven, I mean, solidly proven that this is a key support area, right? So if the buyers were to step back in when it comes down and it holds this area, this is a long first target 24-15-ish area, okay? And then if you're able to get long properly, you should pay yourself at the 24, right? And then leave a little bit, anticipating the breakout to the next area of resistance, which is 2450s, because you never know, it might be able to squeeze out, right? Shorts are piled in from this day on February 6th, right? So they are not squeezed out yet for these guys, or shorts are piled in here. They're not squeezed out yet because they haven't hit their stop. Their stop is probably a little bit above the 24 area here. Okay, so if it pops through and it breaks out, I mean, it could squeeze and get all these shorts covering, and then we could get a big run on AMD. So that's my take on AMD. EA Electronic Arts, we have a doji day here, but gap up doji day. Okay, so just like AMD, this stock has proven its support area, right? Okay, what I'm talking about is the 105, which was the prior highs of a few days now. I mean, it tried so many times to get over 105, and eventually it did on Friday. It gapped up over, came down really hard with massive volume and speed, right? And then it literally bounced off there. Okay, it tested the whole day in the afternoon, eventually breaking out. So this to me looks like shorts covering because they don't want to hold through the long weekend. But as you can see, 105 is a very key support area. Now, I'm not sure if the shorts have given up yet on shorting the stock, because, I mean, if you take a look at the stock in the past few days, right, every time it breaks out or if it gaps up, it gets heavily shorted down right away or gets sold off, right? So look at this spike failed, the spike failed, the spike failed, right? So I'm not sure if the shorts has given up yet. If they haven't, then I think it's quite foolish, because to be quite honest, overall this chart is looking very bullish in my opinion. 105 has proven itself. So what I'm looking for, currently the stock is sitting at 107. I'm looking for a dip out the gates to hold, right? The next area of support is the 106. a little bit below 106, maybe 105.80s to 106 area, as you can see. If it dips and holds this area, it's a long, in my opinion. And I do see the stock ripping and test at least the highs of Friday here at the 112 mark, right? Coincidentally, 112 was the 200 SMA here. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it for EA, I guess. Let me think if I want to add anything. Yeah, overall, I mean, the chart is a little bit overextended and it might have a chop day tomorrow, but as long as it holds this 105 area, my stance on EA is still going to be bullish, right? Because it has come a long ways. It had made higher lows, and this overall chart is looking very bullish in my opinion, and definitely not. I don't want to short it unless it's overextended, even more overextended, maybe like a super gap up into the 112, right? Then I'll join the shorts for a quick scalp down. That's EA. CGC. Okay, to talk about CGC first, I want to bring up the ETF for the marijuana stocks here, which is MJ. Overall, MJ is looking pretty bullish here, as you can see. We had massive volume on Friday, and it looks like it's cupping right now. It's getting scooped by the 9 EMA. It's reclaimed, it bounced, and it's coming back up. So CGC has about 7%. Sorry, MJ has about 7% of it is CGC. Okay, canopy growth. I think as this thing, I will use MJ as sort of a guide when I trade the weed stocks. I don't trade too much weed stocks anyways. I only look at the main few. I look at Tilray, CGC, and Cron. But CGC to me looks pretty bullish, and MJ is looking pretty bullish to me. So I do like to put this on my watch. Right now, I want to mention real quick, 4650 is a proven support level currently, right? So let's take a look here at 4650. Okay, it's basically the low of yesterday, right? And as you can see, this is a prior support and prior resistance. Okay, it tried a few times, it dipped hard out the gates, held this level and bounced, right? So 4650s proven support right now. The next level of support, though, I am looking for a dip out the gates for a next leg up. Maybe a dip and hold the 47 area, which is the 200 SMA on the 5-minute chart, as well as the key psychological whole number here. I don't think I want to put too much weight on this 200 SMA, though. I mean, looking at this 200 SMA, it's pretty choppy. Okay, it came through down, it tried to reclaim, and then now it's holding, right? But I mean, this is the 200 SMA for this ticker is more of a guide. You know what? Let me see if I can put in the 100 SMA and see what it's doing here real quick. So give me a quick second here. All right, guys. 100 SMA on the 5-minute chart. Okay. So the 100 doesn't even tell us anything much either. So I'm not going to look at the SMAs on this. I'm just going to use key psychological whole numbers and 50-cent mark, support and resistance. $47 mark. I mean, it basically broke out, right? And then we have prior resistance now become support here. It's a key psychological whole number. Scrolling back a little bit, yeah, I do like 47. I mean, look at this day. This is where it held and ripped, right? Here as well. So looking for a dip to hold 47. If it holds, then I like it for the long and ride it back up to, well, target 4850s and above and beyond, okay? And then finally, we have AMAT. AMAT I traded on Friday. I liked AMAT a lot. Basically, it came off a negative earnings report catalyst, right? It's a negative earnings reaction. It sold off after hours, popped and dropped like I usually do, like I usually play negative reactions, right? Right now, we have a very key resistance area here at the 3940s, okay? So the 3940s area, as you can see, if you draw a horizontal line across, is a very key resistance area. I'll go as bold as give it even 10 cents to 3950s. So we have a key concise resistance zone, right? So if this stock pops tomorrow, or cover pop tomorrow, I'm going to look for a selling reaction here and try to get short back down. And my first target is to try to test these lows here. We are at a negative earnings reaction, so I do believe if this hits its head here, it will be able to come right back down. Now, let me zoom out a little bit, take a look at this chart here. Yeah, I definitely like the 3950s, 3940s area. Okay, so if it's unable to reclaim, then it's a short. If it reclaims and starts holding, then I'm going to lose the short conviction, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I will long it though, because to me, that would be more of like a consolidation day. We had a massive volume day, right? So it needs a day to retrace a little bit, and it's going to be choppy on the long side, in my opinion. So I'll just leave it alone. If 39 snaps right here, key psychological whole number, I do like it for a lot of room, not only to test yesterday's low, but bring it all the way down to the 38 area. Why not, right? I mean, one can only dream. So if it goes, it goes. But my objective is to look for that key entry short and ride it down for as long as I possibly can because of the bad catalyst and the reaction to the catalyst. Okay, so 8 tickers on my watch this evening. I hope you guys enjoyed what you watch. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Do share, because it is a free watch list and a free plan that I make on a nightly basis. You guys have been checking my prior watch lists and plans. You'll know that they are pretty accurate, and I have trick trades all to thanks for this, because I learn it from the best. My mentor Trick, I've been learning from him for the past year and a bit now, and I do have his free YouTube video and my video links, as well as if you want to join Trick Trades, join a winning team, a community where we help each other to become better traders and no one gets left behind. Make sure you check out the video links in my video descriptions below, and I'll see you guys all bright and early tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Ciao.